Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, is my co-host today, so we will be talking about your life and all of your problems, because he's good at that. And we'll also talk about your money, because I'm here. And we're glad you're with us. Thanks for hanging out.
You're good at that.
Well, you are good at helping people with their problems.
I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that one. You're good at talking about money.
I am. It's worked out for me.
It's working.
I'm hoping it's going to be a career someday.
It's working out for you. You hang in there, Dave, and you keep working hard.
It's like a hair and a biscuit. All right. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in. We'll talk about your life and your money. Jana is with us in Orlando. Hey, Jana, what's up?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
I have a real estate and money question. With my husband's job going mostly remote, we have the opportunity to move back to Kansas City, which is our hometown, from Florida, where we've been for about 3 years. And so moving back towards family. And we have a paid-for house here, and we've been without a mortgage for about 3.5 years. So moving back, we feel like we have options, but we're having a hard time narrowing it down, whether it's going to be lake or buy a few acres or even build is on the list. We can't quite decide. So we're trying to decide now if we should just buy what's on the market when it's time or give it some time and rent in the meantime so we can have, just experience the process. Moving to Florida, I didn't even see my house before we moved into it. It was a little bit more of a quick thing and it worked out and it was great, but I kind of want to enjoy the process this time, but we're going back and forth whether that's worth it or not. Do we take our time and rent and spend that money that we haven't had to spend each month, or go ahead and buy and deal with whatever is on the market at the time? Short answer is you can never go wrong with a lake, but I agree. I agree, but they're not as easy to come by.
Yeah, but anyway, well, here's the thing. How long you been gone?
We've been gone 3 years.
Okay, so you know the market still. You know which neighborhood is which. You kind of know I don't want to be over there. I do want to be over there. That kind of a thing.
Know the county that we want to be in. We have it narrowed down to certain areas, certain lakes, certain country areas.
Well,
and we keep an eye on it all.
If you don't find the thing that you want in those areas, then it would be rent and patience until you find the thing you want. But if you find the thing you want, there's no rule that says you have to not get it, right?
Right.
I hear in your voice a very kind usage of the word "we." What's this place is where you're from. What's the holdup?
My husband is real decisive, and I'm real not.
Yes,
okay.
There you go.
And I think he'd be okay.
Yeah, because I'm that way. I can make a decision. If I don't like it, I'll just make another decision. Meanwhile, Sharon's still thinking.
Yep, that's kind of how we are. And I kind of I was okay with that on the way here because I was excited to come, and all I wanted was a pool in Florida.
Well,
Kansas City.
If you're going to buy as you move, it needs to go at a slow enough pace that you process it, not him, because we already know he can process it, but that you process it in a way that it involves enjoyment, pleasure. This is a time of your life. You've earned the right to pay cash for property because you're moving from a paid-for property. You know the area. This should be a pleasurable, by and large. Moving never is completely, but I mean, it's like a root canal. But a pleasurable process for you. If you feel rushed, jammed, pushed, hustled, frustrated, chill. Just rent.
Yeah.
But if you found the right thing and you had the appropriate number of hours or days to emotionally process it while you were making an offer, then there's no limitation.
Right. And we're still holding out hope that there's going to be that place that we both get excited about, whether it's lake or land, that we'll go, this is it.
My guess is you're going to rent, and it's going to take a while because you're on a bit of a treasure hunt.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So then my question is, in that kind of a situation, most places like to have a year lease. And how much would we then, I mean, we could spend whatever we want, I guess, on rent, but we don't want to waste our money. Mm-hmm. So then how do you determine how much rent?
You are spending money to buy patience.
Right.
So how much is it worth to you? That's what the question you got to ask. Maybe you want to negotiate with the landlord up front that says, hey, if we find another place and we can find you a replacement tenant, you'll agree to release us.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
As a landlord, I happily will release any tenant early from a lease if I have a replacement.
Okay.
Because I often can increase the rent when they leave. So I love replacements.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I haven't looked into specific rentals, so maybe I need to explore that a little bit more.
That's not going to happen with a corporate rental like the apartment complex that's managed out of Atlanta or some such crap, right? But mom and pop like me that's got a house over here with a for rent sign from Walmart in the front yard, they'll do all kinds of deals with them as long as it makes sense for them.
Right. So I guess we just need to decide what size of a house, because it's going to go anywhere from a 4-bedroom for $1,800 a month to a 2-bedroom, which would be cramped with our 2 kids.
It's completely
closer to $1,200.
You have the money. Stop the whining about the money. You've got the money. You're trying to create a process here that you're millionaires. Okay, I can feel it. I know the numbers. I know the vibe on this. So you're there. So just enjoy. You're going to blow $15,000-$20,000 for patience to get the right property, and that's what you're going to spend on rent for a year while you just sit there and enjoy the process of finding the right property, getting the land bought. You may even extend the lease a little bit while you build the house.
That's right.
So just do it at a pace. There's no, one of the things money gives you is margin. It gives you wiggle room. And you've got the money to have wiggle room without forcing yourself in, but when you're broke, it's always, you're just pushed in the corner. And God, I hate that feeling, because right about the time I do, that's when I do something stupid.
Every time I do something stupid when that happens. That's right.
Yeah, I have that pressure that I'm jammed up. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody said, well, the car broke down, so I bought a new car. It's like, what? Why don't you just fix your freaking car? Well, it broke down. It just breaks down all the time. It's that same thing that's going on. It's that, but they're, the hassle of fixing a $500 thing on a car when you're broke is a big freaking deal.
Well, in our house, we're not broke, and just a couple of days ago, my wife said, hey, we got to fix a seatbelt. We still have a child seat back there. We got to fix a seatbelt. And the first words out of my mouth were, is it just time for us to get a new car?
Yeah.
That one's been there a while.
See,
and she said,
that's why you're on the show, so I can help you.
That'd be nice. And so I started thinking through and talking.
I got to be on the show with Dave. I can't do that.
Well, I mean, it's just what you said. It's like, or...
Yeah.
$300 solves the seatbelt problem. And I mean, it's just how quick it was. Well, clearly we need to throw this thing in the lake and start over.
Her question is a really good question.
It is, but that doesn't sound like a money issue to me.
No, it's a process issue.
It is a heart issue.
It's a process issue. He makes decisions real fast, and he's jammed her up before. Forced her in. I know this because I've done it to my wife for 38 years.
And if this is going to be the forever house, which doesn't exist, but if this is going to be it.
There's no forever house.
I want to go slow and make sure.
It's my dream house until your freaking dream changes. Okay.
That's right.
So shut up. There's no such thing. It's a house.
Let's go buy it.
This is The Ramsey Show.
Cliff and I joined Christian Healthcare Ministries because we really liked the concept of Christians sharing each other's burdens. And we really experienced that firsthand when Cliff was diagnosed with heart disease. It was just such a relief to know that financial burden was going to be taken care of.
CHM is the original and longest-serving health cost sharing ministry. Get started today and check us out at chministries.org/budget.
Getting a cup of coffee before the show, and I ran into one of our new team members who Asked him how he's doing. He said, well, better today, but over the weekend, his new house that he was trying to buy here got sideways because this market is so white hot that he got leapfrogged and somebody pushed him out of a deal, and so he had to start again. You know, if you've been paying attention to the real estate market this year, you've known the competition for a property is high. There's low inventory right now, and prices are going up in a lot of markets really fast. It's hard to find a property. When inventory's low, it means there's more buyers buying than sellers selling. And that turns the pressure up. Buyers want to snag the right house. And sometimes when you're doing that, if you're not careful, you get stupid. Because you go, it's like a beagle chasing a rabbit, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta get, hey. And you like keep upping the offer to the point that you're in the stupid zone. To win in this market, you really need a pro walking with you going, Nick, calm down. Our agents in our ELP program, our Endorsed Local Provider program, have years of industry success in any market, and they can walk you through and help you navigate the weirdness of this post-COVID market. Text the word house to connect with an Endorsed Local Provider. Text the word house to 33789. That's 33789. Stephen's with us. Stephen is in Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you, sir?
Better than I deserve. That's for sure. How can I help?
Had to hear that. Got a question for you. I have a young entrepreneur daughter. We actually just recently put in a new commercial kitchen basically in our house. She started up a bakery doing ice sugar cookies, and it's just kind of taken off, kind of blown up actually. And I was curious what to do with kind of setting her up for the future. What your recommendation is for a 10-year-old to do with her money besides throw it in the savings account.
So how much has she made with her sugar cookies?
It's kind of, it goes month to month depending on holidays. It started at
just roughly.
I'm going to say roughly she's right at a month. Last month was like $550. This month pushing $1,000.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow, that's great, man.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. When I get done, I'm going to put you on hold. Kelly's going to pick up. I'm going to send you a copy of Anthony O'Neill's Teen Entrepreneur Toolbox, which is a toolbox that helps parents work with their teenagers on setting up and running a small business appropriately. Here's the main thing I want parents to remember about money and about entrepreneurship when you're 10, 12, 14, even 16 years old. The investing in some big investment that's going to be worth $8 bazillion when you're 65 years old is some fun math to run out, and it's not a bad teaching tool. But 99% of what your 10-year-old needs to take away from this experience is the entrepreneurial skills and confidence. It's not the money. The money in the scope of her life is irrelevant because you have a young rock star on your hands. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like when Rachel was growing up, Rachel Cruz, Sharon and I kept looking at each other going, we have to point this one at something because it's going to go off. And that's what you're doing here, right? Your children, the Bible says, are an arrow in your quiver. And so what you want is you want them to fly straight when you release the bow. And that's what this is all about. It's not about $1,000 a month because it's not $15,000 a month. It's $1,000, okay? And in the scope of this kid's life, she's going to make $100,000 a month if you keep teaching her these skills. And so I think what you need to do is make sure you lean in on the lessons. And then I always take money with adults and children, and I divide it into three categories. We enjoy some, called spending. We give some, called generosity. And we save some. And you always, all of us, including 10-year-olds, need to be building those three muscles at all times. The problem is often with children, we only teach them one or two of the muscles. And it's not optional either. It's freaking mandatory. Like brushing your teeth or taking your test and getting a grade and going to bed when I tell you to, because I'm an old school Papa Dave. So, that kind of stuff. So you're going to save some. And here's why, and I'm going to show you why. You're going to give some, and here's why, and I'm going to show you why, and we're going to talk about it. And you're going to enjoy some. Because sometimes you have a kid that's a little tightwad, doesn't want to give, or doesn't want to enjoy. Sometimes you have one little spender, and they want to spend it all. But and so they got a natural bent, but also help them develop those other skills and these entrepreneurial skills. And That's what I want to concentrate on here. And so under the heading of savings, if you want to sit down and continue a deeper education with a SmartVestor Pro, you can open up a little mutual fund if you want to and put some of the money in there. That's okay. But the moral of the story is this kid is the magic sauce, not the money.
You're right. And Dave, tell me what you think about this. While he was talking, I was thinking about myself as a parent of a 10-year-old. And my 10-year-old gets really zoned in on something for sometimes months at a time. And it takes a couple of months, and then suddenly I start reading about it. I get on board, and then I think, all right, I'll learn about dinosaurs. And then right when I start thinking about it, he's off to the next thing. It can be really easy for the parents, as you were talking about, to lose the importance of the lessons here. And suddenly it becomes about keeping this business running, right?
Yeah.
And not forgetting, hey, she's 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
in 2 months, it might be soccer that she's this passionate about.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
It's
right?
sugar cookies.
Don't make your 10-year-old have an ROI on a professional kitchen you may not need to have
And
bought.
see, this is what happens. That's why I asked what real money was. He said she's making a lot of money. And that is a lot of money if you're 10. But I've also had the call here where you've got the child star.
That's right.
And they made $100,000.
Did a commercial and made $100,000, right?
Freaking diaper commercial, and the 3-year-old got $100,000. What? That's happened. I've talked to those people, and if you're not careful, then the parents get all invested, and that's how their childhood gets stolen
because they become a product.
They become a professional,
right? And they become about their achievement and how much money you're going to make, and
that's why we all gripe about parents who overdo sports, or gripe about parents who overdo pageants,
right?
Or gripe about parents that overdo ... because they're trying to live some kind of very vicarious crap
right
through their kiddo, and he's not doing that. There's no sign of that in his call at all. None whatsoever. But that's the warning, is encourage, nourish the positive things, guide them, give them some boundaries, some guardrails, so that this can be a healthy thing, not a toxic thing. But you
hold it really loosely.
Yeah.
Hold it loosely.
Yeah, they don't need to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning making cookies. Don't send your 10-year-old to salt mines. Right. And he wasn't doing that.
No.
And most people don't. But sometimes people go, well, the kid needs to go where the kid's going to go. No, they're a kid.
They're 10.
You need to go. No, you're going to bed. You're going to bed. It's a sugar cookie. Shut the crap up. Go to bed. It's it. And so you got to draw the line there and back it in, because adults. Because if you don't, then you've got a 30-year-old with an expanded version of that. And then they end up on your show.
Yes.
Calling in going, I'm crazy! So they've lost their ever-loving mind. And that's not how they call your show, but it is the actual diagnosis, though.
Sort of. Well, but yeah, it's so easy to take what your kid's passionate about, and it becomes your passion, and suddenly you're driving them towards an outcome instead of just letting them be a kid.
Yeah, and then you get, you can name all these stars that were stars too young.
Right.
The teenage.
Or that didn't have parents who had good boundaries.
No, the parents were just crazier than a balloon, and then the kid just blew up, made a bunch of money, and as a country star, a pop star, or whatever, 14 years old, and then all you've got is expanded dysfunction.
Right.
Later on, because they never had the ability to emotionally, relationally develop and have good, solid boundaries and process. Now, again, he's not got any of that. There was no smell of that.
Sounds like
whatsoever.
He's a dad who loves his daughter.
Yeah, he sounds like, and he's proud. He's very proud of her, and he should be. She's a cool kid. That's a cool kid. I mean, that's neat.
But the moral there is, don't overthink it.
Yeah, and don't make it in.
Put it in a savings account in local bank. I mean, you don't have to.
When you look down and you go, a 10-year-old made $1,000.
That's incredible.
You go, boo, and it's easy to go. I got to be responsible with this. Yeah. It's like, be responsible with the gift the kid has. That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing.
Love it,
because that kid's going to be a big deal. That's a big deal kid right there. Should be working here someday. I love it. Running a whole area. This is the Ramsey Show. the lobby of Ramsey Solutions on the debt-free stage. Andrew and Rachel are with us, which can only mean one thing. They're debt-free. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave.
Where do you guys live?
Clarksville.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just
Well,
up the
welcome.
road.
Right up the road.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome to Nashville. And how much debt have you two paid off?
$252,000. Wow. Yes.
Impressive. How long did this take you?
2 years. 24 months exactly.
That's really
Are
impressive.
you down a kid or something?
What's your range of income during this time?
Just about 125,000 combined.
Okay. What do y'all do for a living?
We own a small business up in Clarksville.
Doing what?
Auto repair.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Okay. It's a good business. Really
Yeah.
good business.
Very. Yes.
And so $213,000, making $125,000. You sold something.
We did.
sold everything.
We did.
All right, tell us the story. What kind of debt was this, and what happened?
We started out, we had car payments for both of us. We had an RV.
Wait a minute. A car guy has a bunch of car payments?
Yeah.
No.
We did.
Of course, and an RV. So.
We did.
What did those three things total?
The truck was 50, the RV was 40, the other car was 30.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm thinking. All
So
right.
we did keep one of the cars and we paid it off.
Yeah.
We do still have it.
Okay.
Sold the truck, sold the RV.
All right, that's $90,000 of the 213.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Now these numbers are starting to get where you can
Yeah.
eat, because I didn't see any food in there.
Right.
Rice and
Okay.
beans.
Yeah, but you're still on rice and beans. But yeah, 90 off that 213 is helping me get there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what happened? What caused all this? Because you went bananas.
We did. We like stuff.
Yep.
That was our problem. We
Nobody else does it.
yeah. We just wanted all the things. Our heart's desires were just in the wrong place.
Yeah. We thought as long as we could make the payment, we were all right. And
What broke your back? What made you change?
Things with the business at the end of 18 got a little tight. We always made sure our people were paid well. We were the first to always take a pay cut, and we just ran out of month when we still had the money, or
Ran out of money before the month, while the month was still there. Too much month left at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the beginning of 19, we just hit rock bottom, and our church, right at the same time, was offering FPU.
well,
So-
and at that point, we were within 30 days of losing our home.
Whoa.
Every time we heard a truck outside, we were making sure it wasn't the repo man.
Whoa.
You
So
know,
you
we-
were really behind.
We
Yeah.
got a
Total
real bad
stress.
spot.
Yeah, we had we were probably a couple days from receiving eviction notices. We were there, man. We just it was bottom.
Wow.
So went through FPU. Immediately started giving joyfully and sacrificially to our church, and started our
stuff?
budget, and we sold a lot of stuff. You went through the house, sold furniture, sold musical instruments that from high school and college, and just got rid of everything.
Yeah,
Fonded
we.
How long
pot.
did it take you to get current?
That's the crazy story.
Yes.
So our church actually loaned us a month's payment to get out of a bad spot. Within 2 months, we were able to pay that back and catch up. We sold the truck. After we sold the truck, there was an overpayment, so we got a big check in the mail. We got a payment back from, I think there was some gap insurance, or we got several checks that we called it mailbox money. It just showed up unexpectedly. God sent us money in our mailbox, and
You couldn't find any money when you were being stupid. When you got smart, God started sending it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the money just showed up, and within 2 months, we were completely current on our mortgage.
Wow.
It took us a little longer to sell the RV. We had to put it on consignment at a lot, and that took a couple months. But yeah, the truck went right away.
So how long in that process before? Because when you hit that, and you got that kind of stuff bearing down on you, I've been there.
Yeah.
How long y'all been married?
Almost 10 years.
10 years this year.
And when you got that bearing down on you, you're about to kill each other.
Oh, yeah.
You're about to kill everything in sight.
Yep.
The stress level is out out your ears.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. And how long before you start getting a sense of peace, a sense of control? From the time you started the class?
I started feeling it pretty quickly, but it
takes a while for it to be a reality.
Yeah, it was.
But you could see it.
Yeah, it was probably 2 or 3 months before we kind of started feeling like, okay,
we got this. You know, probably by month 3 we were seeing the light.
Yeah, April, May of 19.
Yeah.
It was.
So how did that impact your business? You said your business was struggling, and then all of a sudden it feels like it turned around too.
Our business skyrocketed. We had become somewhat disengaged with our business. Our business was somewhat running on its own without our input at times, I mean, we re-engaged. We got some great team members. I mean, we had a lot of great team members already, but they got behind us. They saw what we were doing. They rallied around us, and we've had a record year. 2020 was a record year for us. So
Go figure.
Yeah. Through all this, we never slowed down.
Yeah.
So what'd this do with your marriage? Where was it and where is it?
You want to take that one?
Be very careful how you answer, man.
You have to tell the truth. Right. You're on the radio. We have a lie detector.
Yeah. Well, no, we had some rough times. I mean, it was definitely a roller coaster, and there were some pretty far down dives in that process. But I can't even begin to tell you how much stress is off of us. You can't believe it until you've been there.
Yeah.
Are you missing those high school instruments?
No, because I found a little girl locally who's in high school who's going to grow with them the way I did.
All that junk we have shoved in corners of our house we don't need anyway, man.
And we actually ended up selling our house through this process, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we came here, and we were actually sitting right here on this couch, and a guy called in and said, should I sell my house to pay off some debt? And your answer to him was, well, do you like the house or not? And he liked his house, so you told him to keep his house. But we looked at ourselves and we're like, we hate our house. We want
It wasn't a long-term. Done. A long-term house.
You know, we had planned on living in this house for 3 or 4 years, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we actually worked out a deal with a real estate agent to get some some cleaning up, renovations, paint, carpet, stuff like that. We ended up selling the house for $50,000 more than we thought we were going to get for it.
Whoa!
And and
that enters into the numbers too, then.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Wow.
So we took that equity and
you guys, you weren't biting around the edges on this. You ate your way right through the middle of this whole
absolutely.
thing. I mean, you did everything and you did it all big.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was it worth it?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Yes. So
why didn't I do it 5 years before?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
That's.
And now we're lined up to teach an FPU class.
All right. We're coordinators. So.
Yay!
Are the guys in your shop watching you walk around a little bit taller, a little bit with a little bit lighter smile?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because we talk about changing our family trees, but we can't ever forget that we're also changing the interactions of the people that we were with day in and day out.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Rubbing elbows in the shop.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good for you guys. So proud of you. You're just so cool. I'm so glad you're teaching FPU because there ain't anything anybody's going to bring up. No whining will be allowed. You have done everything. You'll be like, shut up.
Right.
Do this. Don't be whining. Cut up your stupid cards.
Yes.
You will be like me, man. I had no mercy on people when they were in that class.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done. All right. Count it down. $213,000 paid off in 2 years, making $125,000. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free!
Just watching their body language. Life is good. This is the Ramsey Show. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. Find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promos they run every month, you'll save even more. Always use the magic word, the promo code Ramsey, to get the best possible deal.
All right, today's question comes from Steve in Kansas. Steve asks, my wife and I discuss our budget every 2 weeks, but it never goes where it's supposed to go. She always finds something to spend money on, but when I want to buy something, she shuts me down. I also cashed out a mutual fund, and it had $70,000 in it to pay an inheritance, from an inheritance to pay down our mortgage, but she's dragging her feet on paying it off. More of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I hear this, Dave, this is never about a budget for me. I always think this is about relational power, right? There's either she's self-soothing with this, or he's writing this in, trying to, feeling like the hero a little bit, but this is the only place she's got in this marriage, only place she can be heard, or I guess somebody can just be a jerk. But whenever somebody says we talk about this stuff a lot, man, you can talk circles around things, but if you're not talking towards something, it's a waste of a conversation, right?
Yeah, the illusion about communication is that it has actually happened.
Right. We said a lot of words, and we parted ways.
What I run into with this is kind of the nerd and free spirit thing. I'll give you a guess. I'm going to read some mail here. Read between the lines. I'm going to guess and say Steve is the nerd. He is
he's got
detail
the
guy.
spreadsheets.
He's a detail guy.
Right.
And she is the free spirit. And to Steve, when you write it down and we all agree to it, in his mind, it was chiseled in stone by God, and he brought it back from Mount Sinai.
Right.
And he's like, God says this, it's in stone. This is not only a contract, you will be struck by lightning if you violate the contract.
Right.
A wee bit pharisaical, right? A wee bit uptight.
Right.
Her, on the other hand, she's still functioning at a freaking 8-year-old level and just diddy-bops into life and diddy-bops out and looks at her husband's thing and says, yeah, babe, let's do it, and then wanders off and doesn't anymore make a contract than fly to the moon. And little does she know, she just signed up with a contract with Big Boy Contract. Boy.
A budget is directional, right?
It should be a contract.
Right.
But it should not be an uptight contract. And what's the problem, Steve, is she does not view it the way you view it. She doesn't think she's breaking her word, and you think that she's a liar.
And it becomes about who's got the strength here.
Yeah.
In his language, I also cashed out this mutual fund. Now I'm taking what she's going to take that power. I'm going to take this one. And man, the only thing that happens here is you end up with
what you've got to do is you have to raise the level of the language to communicate and go, okay, honey, when I say this, it means to me we are pinky swear, spit shake. We are, cutting our little hand here, putting a little blood on there. We're signing an oath in blood that this is by God what we're going to do.
And I want to ask her, what is it about?
And if you sign this, if you say, yes, I agree to this, that's to me what you are doing. So when you don't do these things, honey, it makes me feel like you are lying. And she needs to go, whoa, I had no idea I was signing up for that trip.
And then I want to ask her, why are you unwilling or unable to lock arms with this guy?
And stick to what you said you were going to do. Because she's not even in the same ballpark. Nope. She just drove off, did whatever the crap she wanted to do.
But look at his answer.
They're both violating. But what it amounts to is they didn't have the same language to say this is a contract.
And they don't have the same destinations where they're headed.
Yeah. But, they both looked at it, and they both said, yeah, let's go to Florida. But he meant that in the morning, and she meant next year.
Or she meant it'll work out.
Yeah, right. We'll get there eventually.
We'll get there.
And then his I got the car packed. Why aren't you in the car?
His response, well, then I want to buy something.
Yeah. No, that's just hit back. That's just childish hit back. Yeah. Yeah. And
there's just an overall lack of maturity
in other words, if this inheritance thing is an emotional thing to him, and it should be. That's a valid thing. If he says, I'm going to take my mama's money and put it on the mortgage, that's a big deal to me. So when I put this money in the account, and by the way, Steve, why didn't you just write the freaking check? Why are you waiting on her to do it? But anyway, aside from that, it's straight into the mortgage. Why, it's like, but she's dragging her feet. Why is she dragging her feet? Just write the dadgum check. You said you were going to do it.
Or did we have a conversation about, hey, we got this inheritance. Let's talk through what we're going to do with it. We all agreed.
Yeah.
Right? Did we have that conversation, or did Steve with his math and his Excel sheets create his alt universe here?
Yep. I got to tell you, the reason I know this stuff is exactly the mistakes I made. It's because I'm the spreadsheet guy. I'm the decisive guy. And to me, by God, when you say you're going to do something, that's just like you said you were going to do it. So why aren't you doing it? I can't stand it.
We're the reverse in my house.
And Sharon's like, well, I didn't really mean I was like going to, sell one of the kids. I mean, and now you got one of the kids up for sale. It's like,
well, at 70,000, like we're going to play with 5, and so 65,000 is great, right?
Well, I sort of meant it, but I didn't exactly mean it, and so we've had to go, oh, look, okay, we are completely agreeing on this date, this amount, this is the thing, and you get a vote and I get a vote. Do you feel heard? Yes, I feel heard. Then by God, you're going to stick to your word. Okay. I mean, we've had to have these type of real clear words in our visceral words in our communication early on to get where we're locked in. Because now, to me, once you say it's on, for nerds, if it's on the spreadsheet, it's law. That's law.
And for free spirits like me, it's an approximation.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, that's a good general concept. I like that you have a spreadsheet.
We're all going to be 50 someday, right? Yeah, we're going to get there.
Yeah, it's
but there's something
he made a
here.
Contract and she didn't sign it. Actually, she signed it in his mind, but she didn't know it. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's a great exercise for every married couple to say, we've got to be in agreement, we've got to be in unity, and you're going to use different languages. Rachel's book, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, has got tons of stuff in there about how your spouse is viewing this conversation about money and how you're viewing the conversation about money. And it comes from all these different angles. Know yourself, know your money. And it's so powerful.
Yeah. And as the free spirit, there's this, I always come back to this thing about control.
Yeah.
This power, what do you mean I can't? I'm in this house and that's me being immature. That's what it comes down to.
No, because the flow of money is about control. But what you have to fight to do in this communication is relinquish half of the control. Like Sharon and I, at this moment, are in this dispute over a large purchase. And we talked about it before I walked out of the house this morning, okay? Because we have a rule. When we're not both on the page, we don't do it. Until we both get there, we don't do it. Whether it's a large gift on philanthropy we're giving, whether it's a major move down here at the office with a bunch of money or something like that, or whether it's a purchase, and in this case it's a purchase of something we're looking at that we're, but she's like, well, I think we just, you got the money, what's wrong with you? You just need to do this. And I'm like, nope, not ready. This is not right. It doesn't feel right.
Just not the same one.
And so you both have a veto card. You both can play the trump card if you've ever played, hand of cards where you can play a trump card. I'm not talking about Donald. I'm talking about
the Joker
game, okay? I'm not talking about the Joker. I'm talking about a trump card. So, but you both have a vote that can call it. And so what we do is it forces us to do nothing until we can find the thing that we both can agree to.
Where you align. And that means you have patience, intentionality, and a ton of grace.
We value the unity more than we value the thing.
How long did that take to get to?
10 years.
A minute.
10 years, yeah. After going broke, first thing we did is try to kill each other when we were going broke, right? Like we're talking about with that couple on that debt-free screen. But, this is vital stuff right here, y'all, because all the data points that we have in our millionaire study that Ramsey did gives you very clear guidelines that very few people become millionaires without spousal participation and spousal unity.
You got to be aligned.
In spite of these communication breakdowns, you just don't do it. You do it because you force these conversations at a real healthy level. That's why Dr. John Deloney's here, because he can talk about this stuff intelligently. This is The Ramsey Show. Have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's The Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality and host of the Dr. John Deloney Show, is my co-host today as we talk about your life, and that is what he specializes in, and your money, and of course we'll both talk to you about that. Open phones here as we mix those two things together and create this soup called common sense. The phone number is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Clint starts off this hour in Chattanooga. Hey, Clint, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve, for sure. How can I help?
My wife and I are 37 years old. We've been living your plan since we graduated college and got to baby step 7 in 2015. So we haven't had payments in 6 years at this point.
Wow!
Yeah, so it's
you just
it's a
dropped
cool
that so
Yeah, so you're like
matter-of-factly.
32 years old, you had a paid-for house, and you've been sitting there 5 years since then. So are you a millionaire already?
Yes, we are.
At 37 years old, because you did our plan since college. Touchdown, I'm done. John, you just take the show from here, I'm out.
I just felt the collective eyes of America roll like, oh, gosh, this guy.
This guy.
Good
That's
for you,
awesome,
man.
Clint. You're
Awesome.
incredible, brother.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a great journey for sure.
How can we help today?
So we have a great problem of having a lot of money in retirement accounts already.
I hate it when that happens.
So we've got about $515,000 in retirement. And my question is, should we keep adding into that retirement, or should I redirect that leave what's in there and redirect future contributions into something that's not a retirement account that's locked down until 59 and a half?
What's your household income?
Last year we made $225,000.
Yeah, I would probably not. I probably would. Because of your young age, here's your trade-off, okay? Your trade-off is, like, your concern on one side of the pendulum is everything's stuck in retirement till 59. I can't mess with it. And
Right.
I can't do something else with it that I want to do, like buy a lake house or something, right?
Right.
And which is an important purchase. And so that's the trade-off. The other side of the pendulum is every dollar we do something else with, the government's going to get more of it.
Right.
And so if you take, for instance, I'll tell you what I do. I max out everything, and then any other savings I do for other things, I just throw it in an index fund, like an S&P 500 index fund. It doesn't have any taxes on it until you sell it because it's a low turnover ratio. And if you leave the money in there at least a year, what taxes you have on the growth will be at 15% at capital gains anyway. In your case, my case, I make more than that, so I get charged more for capital gains because I'm an evil rich person. You must be punished in America. But so yeah, you get taxed lower, and you've got access to it, but it's still not as tax friendly as retirement is.
Right.
So if you want to divert a portion of this over to that's fine. The trade-off is not you're going to be broke at retirement. The trade-off is the government's going to get more of your money doing that in order to have access to it before 59 and a half.
Okay, great.
And I think that's a reasonable trade-off for some of your investments at this stage. So here's a rule of thumb. If that money's invested and making around 10%, if it's in good mutual funds the way we teach, it should be doing that on average. It's going to, if you don't add anything else to it, it's going to double about every 7 years. Mm-hmm. So at 44, it's going to be $1 million. At 51, it's going to be $2 million. At 58, it's going to be $4 million if you add nothing to it.
Right.
All I was doing is doubling it each time. You follow me? And so if you have $4 million in your protected accounts and that's all you have in there, that's fine. As long as you've got some other wealth built on the side, and we're not talking about consuming the money, but you're not consuming anything because you're consuming things, but you're doing it intentionally, and you're not asking me about that. You're asking me about investing.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, man, you're so cool.
That's awesome.
So proud of you.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So I probably would not shut it down completely, but I would redirect some of to where you've got some money over. I'd like for you to have, if you got 4 or 5, 6 million, 7 million in retirement, I'd like for you to have 3 or 4 million at 58 in non-retirement.
Okay, great.
And that you could do other stuff with in the meantime. Again, it could be a purchase. It could be just access to the money without any penalties. It could, because you've gotten such a head start. God, you're so, man, it's impressive.
So when you're thinking about buying a big piece of real estate,
yeah,
do you use that index fund?
Yeah, that's my savings
account.
That's my savings account.
Okay,
that's exactly what I'm doing. And so if like we're building these buildings here, and so what I do is I take all my income. Right now, almost all of it. I live on a little bit of it, but I throw almost all of it in an index fund. And then when I have to write these stinking checks for this concrete we're putting up next door and getting ready to start an event center across the street, this millions and millions of dollars, they just come out of that account.
Gotcha.
And it's just parked there. Sometimes I don't make a lot on it because sometimes the market's up or down while I ride it, but I can afford that ride in that situation because there's so many freaking zeros involved.
Is the volatility worth just putting it in the... I guess you can't put it in a savings account because it's not insured.
Yeah, you're going. Well, it's not insured, but I'm not worried about the insurance. It's just it might lose 1%. It might make 10%.
Okay.
But if you put in the other, you're going to make 1%, and I'm just not going to be thrilled.
Okay.
So I've got some sitting in money markets and that kind of stuff for that kind of thing. But I'm just generally, this is an investment account. I'm throwing it in there. I try to leave it alone a year so I can get the lower tax rate because even I get a capital gains tax break on that. But this is baby step 7 stuff, folks. This is what you're doing at baby step 7, and this is what you're doing if you're 37 and you're already a millionaire.
And these are good problems to figure out.
Yeah.
These are problems.
This is, when I started this show, I dreamed I would get that call someday. That 20 years after doing this, that guy, when he was 22, started doing this stuff. He's 37 now, and that's where he is. He's why we're here. That's who I want to be with. Man, that's awesome. Phew! I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Very cool stuff. Yeah, so, the thing you don't want to, you guys listening, you don't want to use that discussion that we're having there as anything except something to point out that I want to be someday. It's not a discussion to say that's a reason to not do the baby steps.
Well, I've even wondered if I'm saving to buy a rental property, if I'm saving to buy like some acreage or something.
That would be after your house was paid off.
Right.
So you're in baby step 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do I hold that? And so you're just going to dump it in index fund?
You can hold it into that index fund, but the risk you're taking is the market could go down. Which means you would just, if you found a piece of ground, you might not want to buy it because your money's worth less right then. You may want to wait on it to come up, and then you might miss a piece of ground. So, or you might go, well, it's just the cost of doing business, and I lost a little bit. Yep. You're never going to lose the whole account. If you do, that means the entire economy collapsed, and that's just not going to happen. I'm not worried about that. Does it dive sometimes and take your breath away? Yeah. And does it shoot up sometimes and take your breath away? Yeah. That's part of the roller coaster ride. That's why people get on them. This is The Ramsey Show. What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings. Thank you for joining us, America. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. John, there is a disturbing thing happening with teenagers and with COVID that you've been talking about on your show. And James, our producer, sent us an article on the loneliness issue and teen mental health with this. It's scary.
Yeah, if you could construct a way to torture teenagers, it would be to isolate them, put them in a house with their family for a year or more, and force them to connect via social media, which are outlets that we know exacerbate anxiety, depression, these things. Make people feel less than, make people just accelerate this disconnection, man. And it's an absolute mess, Dave. It's a mess.
So the kids not being back in the classroom
is
causing we're seeing suicides increase, we're seeing loneliness increase, we're seeing because human development requires interaction with other humans, and social media is not interaction.
No, and especially with kids, especially with teenagers in middle school, they are figuring out who they are in relationship with other people. And when you take that off, it is just like cutting the string on a balloon, and it's off, right? There's just no way to ground when it's just you and a screen. And then you go through these curated images of what other people are supposedly doing, what their lives are supposedly like, and it makes you feel less than and more isolated.
Well, and then people have digital courage, and so they become bullies and mean and other stuff.
Here's another interesting thing. When you and I were kids and we ran into a real bully, or we are one ourselves, and somebody mouthed off to us, that hurt. And then we went about our day, and we went with our friends, and there's just a natural cycle to that. When it's in black and white text,
it stays forever.
You read over and over, and you go back to it, and you go back to it, and it re-injures and re-injures. That's another thing. If you lost a grandparent from...
so you've got a generation that wasn't connected enough with humans as it was, but on top of that, you just took them completely and stuck them in a house.
That's right.
With COVID, and then they're not going back to the classroom, and so the teachers' unions are screwing these kids.
Man, I just can't I can't find the data, the science that supports keeping these kids by themselves. Even our kid has been back in a regular public school. They got to wear masks, they got to do these things, but man, he gets to interact with other kids. And he gets to be around other kids. Gets to run around, and they're making up new games, but they're with other people. And I'm hearing stories about, reading stories about teachers unions trying to say, yeah, we'll let them back, but why we're going to replace the air conditioning complexes, or we've got to fill in the blank, and using these moments to try to get other gains for the teachers. Man, my wife's a teacher. I'm from teachers. I've been a teacher. I'm all about teachers, but it's all about these kids. It is about these kids at the end of the day. That's why we are teachers. That's why I was a teacher. My wife's a teacher, because we're about these kids, and these kids are dying on the vine, Dave. Every mental health professional I know is predicting just a collapse of these kids when they go back, because they've just been separate for so long, and it's just a mess.
One of the things we've talked about, and the data is there, and it's been there for years. I remember reading it a long time ago, and then you reminded me of it the other day, that teens need physical proximity to figure out who they are.
Right.
And they even... The thing, if you've never heard this before, it's going to sound strange to you, but even their heartbeats start to regulate off of each other.
Yeah, their eyes look at each other.
They not only pick up the same words and vernacular and those kinds of things, but literally the physiology of their bodies
has to be with other people.
Tend to connect.
Yes,
and when you don't have that, it's not developing properly.
That's exactly right, and you don't get that teacher that just puts that hand on the shoulder, that just winks at the kid in the hallway. We used to call it accidental community, where you, as a teacher, you just watch for that one kid who's got his heads down, who's not getting it at home, who's not getting it, who's getting beat up by his older brother, who's struggling on the bus, whatever the thing is. And it's those little touch points that a teacher can provide, that school counselor, that school principal, that coach can provide.
It's not the academics.
No,
it's the relational quality.
Yes, yeah. You can get
socialization.
We can transfer information. That's the easy part. It's talking to the teacher that's that's showing you, man, you should see my son coming home from history. He is learning the narrative, these stories, and they've come alive, and he's asking questions at home that I never dreamed a 10-year-old would ask. That's because he's got a relationship with somebody that he trusts who's giving him this information, right? And he could read a book. It would go in one ear and out the other, but this teacher's helping to come alive in him, right? And so all I have to say is, man, where you can, find ways to let your kids be around other kids, find ways to connect with your kids, find ways to get them out with other children running around.
This is far more dangerous than the virus. I think it is. That's a statement I made.
Yeah, I can't see a way that it's not, Dave. I have not been compelled by the data on kids.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I heard you talk was you talked about screens before COVID.
Before COVID,
I mean, I don't know, 3-4 years ago I heard you do a talk, and you were talking about the damage, not necessarily from the bullying's part of it, but not necessarily from that, but the damage that this lack of physical proximity to create socialization and proper development in a child 7 to 27 years old.
Think of it this way. Depending on what stats you read, it's 70 to 90% of communication is nonverbal, right? And so when you export all of your interaction with somebody to zeros and ones, to text messages, you're communicating 20, 30%. You're missing shoulder movement and body posture and eye crinkles and this syncing up that we do together, right? So, I have not seen any data that said kids don't need to be back in schools, that COVID's just wiping out kids. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's taken out folks who are older, who are not in good health, right, who have other things going on. Now, of course, there's the outliers. We hear about those.
So are you seeing the mental health community starting to raise this banner?
They've been doing it for a year.
All along.
All along.
But just not, they weren't getting a platform.
There is no platform. And everybody's so busy throwing things up online just so they could see folks, right? Because they knew this crisis was going to emerge. And this is the other thing. Think about if you had someone that you love, your grandparent died in a car wreck. The last thing you're going to do is go watch anything that has to do with car wrecks until you heal. And if your grandparent passed away from COVID, or you have someone you love pass away from COVID, every news story, everything's about COVID. So these kids are just looping on this all day long. And those loops just become that anxiety. When you can't take that anxiety anymore, that's when that weight just takes over you. That's when you just sit back and you fade back, and we call that depression. That's when you just unplug from the world, man. And we're just watching it happen with kid after kid after kid after kid. And at some point, whether you got to run around and play outside, I don't care how you have to do it, you got to get your kids in proximity to other kids. You have to, Dave.
Even when it comes to church, the Bible says, don't forsake the gathering of the believers.
Figure it out. I've heard of churches meeting in people's backyard, or whatever you got to do.
You need to be in proximity.
Figure it out.
Of human beings.
Right.
Human beings need relationship to function properly.
Got to.
It is not good that man be alone. And this is what we're seeing. And we're seeing this in careers. We're seeing it in businesses. We're seeing it with this article. Where was this article out of?
Psychology Today.
Psychology Today on the loneliness and depression and suicide rate of teens.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. And even this, let's say you're in a city, in a town where you just can't, or you live in a highly compressed city. That means you're going to have to go over the top being engaged with your kid.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put your electronics away, moms and dads, and you're going to have to plug in. You're going to have to figure out how to kick a soccer ball in your living room. You have to do something.
The first 30 days binge watching Netflix was okay.
It's over.
It's not okay
Unplug
anymore.
Everything now.
It's not okay anymore. These screens are killing you.
Find ways to engage with your kids.
Wow, powerful. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality. I am Dave Ramsey. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today on the debt-free stage in the Ramsey Solutions lobby. Jeremy is with us. Hey, Jeremy, how are you?
Pretty good, Dave.
Awesome, man. Good to have you. So you're here because you're debt-free. How much did you pay off?
I had to write it down here. $72,042.
Love it.
Wow.
How long did this take?
22 months.
Good for you. And your range of income during that time?
Started about 35,000, and last year I made 49.
Good. What do you do for a living?
Piano teacher.
Good for you. How'd you raise your income that much?
In 2018, I started a job at a preschool as a general music teacher, and I used all of that income to pay down the mortgage. I was doing triple mortgage payments.
Oh, so it's your extra job?
Yeah. I was working 65 to 70 hours a week.
I got you. Okay, so you paid off your house?
Yes.
Wow.
I love it, piano teacher. Way to go.
It's the only debt I had. The only debt I've really ever had.
Wow.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Look at you, man.
And with, you say a piano teacher for preschoolers?
No,
that was
on
his
my
extra
own,
job.
And then the extra job was at a preschool, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What's the house worth?
Zillow says about 204. I bought it for 105.
Where do you live?
South Elgin, Illinois, just west of Chicago.
Okay. Wow. Good for you, man. Congratulations. Okay, so 2 years ago, ding, ding, you go, I'm going to go crazy and pay off my house fast. What happened? What caused that?
I was a little bit underemployed before I started the job at the preschool, so it was a big boost of income. And I decided I'm not going to work 65 to 70 hours for the next 20 years. So if I get the house out of the way, I can cut my hours down. But I didn't want to give up my business of piano lessons. So
You may be, with a piano teacher and a preschool teacher, you may be one of the top 2 or 3 most patient men in America.
you've got no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like a walking Xanax, I think, man.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
What a gift to humanity you are. Good for you, man.
That's fabulous. Okay, so how'd you run into us?
I started listening in 2009. A friend of mine turned me onto the show. At the time, I was 27, making $19,000 a year. And so now I'm up to like 45-ish a year. So, you know.
Yeah. But as you're
what a
going
difference.
along 2 years ago, you went, I think I can do this, Dave. Finish off the house.
It was starting the job that did it, because I couldn't possibly, at 32,000 or whatever I was making before the job, the second job, I couldn't possibly do much extra.
Yeah.
So.
But then you said, I think I'm going to throw some math at this. Ding, ding, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. I would have
so
gone.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm doing 30% into retirement and investing, so I'll be all set now. Yeah.
How old are you?
38.
Way to go, man.
Single, never married, no kids. If you want to put my phone number in the bottom of the screen, that'd be fine.
Available and debt-free.
Baby
debt
step
free.
7. You know, this should be a T-shirt.
That's right.
Yeah.
Baby step 7 and available.
Yeah.
That's
and
good.
super patient.
Yeah. True enough. Yeah.
Wow.
Possibly a saint. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just in awe of you.
Jeremy, way to go, man. All right, so when someone asks you, you're a teacher, you like to teach, obviously. When someone asks you, how do you do this, what do you tell them?
I always thought about tomorrow. Tomorrow needs to be better than today. And I was raised by my parents, and my grandparents instilled, always think about the future. My grandfather owned a business, and that's kind of what planted it. You know, when I started listening to you, Dave, I didn't have any debt when I started listening. I started in baby step 4, which is like, oh, where am I? I'm in 4. All right, I'm doing pretty good. And I just wanted to not have to work so hard. In my job, when the phone rings, it could be a terrible phone call or a great phone call. And over time, the more money I build, the more wealth I build, the less chance of it being a terrible phone call.
Yeah.
The longer I go, I can enjoy my work rather than stress about losing it, which COVID didn't help. Right. Yeah, I lost almost all the income in COVID.
Wow.
So thankfully, almost all of my customers stuck with me.
Yeah.
But I had 4 streams of income, and all of them gone.
Yeah.
So,
but they're all back now.
No, just the piano lessons.
Oh, that's it.
And then I had to drive Uber Eats the last year to make up the difference.
Okay.
I was doing 30 some hours on that on top of the piano lessons.
Because
so,
once you got a goal, You got to go.
I'd said when I first started the preschool, I did the math on your website, the mortgage calculator, to see when can I go see Dave, and it said pay off December 2020. So I'm like, COVID hit. I'm like, oh, come on, So that's why I cranked up the Uber Eats. I'm like, I am not going to let this go.
Yeah. And you're still here in early 21, so well done.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Excellent job, dude. Very good.
Yep.
How's it feel?
Great. Yeah, the future is just uphill from here.
No payment in the world.
Nope.
Totally weird.
Shoveling so much at investments every single month. It's great. Yeah.
How much peace and healing are you seeing as these kids come back and can sit with you at the piano?
It's great. Me being one person in their house, it's a normal thing for them. I'm getting a lot of customers like that. Everything else is weird, but I can be normal. Well, I am weird, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah. But
you being there is normal.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool, man. Well done. Very well done.
Yeah.
So all the 30 hours in the Uber Eats, was it worth it?
Oh, yeah. It was long, but at least I knew that it was for a goal. I wasn't throwing it out the window.
It wasn't forever?
No. Yeah, and it's
not a way
of
forever. Life?
Yeah. I did the math. I should be able to fully retire at my current level about 54 if I keep shoveling at investments like this.
Yeah.
So somebody is driving down the road right now. They're making $45,000 a year, and they got $70,000 in whatever debt. What do you tell them?
Just keep at it. Think about the future. Don't worry about today as much, but plan for tomorrow. That's the big one. You don't want to be. I know people that are retirement age that have nothing. And I am determined not to be that.
Yeah. Well, nobody plans to do that.
That's true.
They do that by not planning. So, you don't. Nobody says, I'm going to fail on purpose. Let's get about the business of failing. No, we don't do that. So well done, Dave.
I just got to tell you, I mean, just your whole spirit. I wish y'all could be in here. There's something about you that I can tell you're a great teacher. I can tell you love interacting with people, but you're an encouragement to me today. I'm grateful for you, man. This is such a cool story, and it's just life kept throwing you a lemon after lemon after lemon, and you were like, I'm just going to drink more lemonade and more lemonade, more lemonade.
A year ago, I was a wreck because I thought it was all gone. Oh boy, but I made it.
You got back off the couch and figured it out. Right?
Yeah, I had to. There was nothing more rewarding or fulfilling than getting out of the house and going to work.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Sitting at home
solves a multitude of sins.
Oh yeah.
Well,
idle hands. Cool. Idle hands, the devil's workshop. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done. All right, Jeremy, we got a copy of Rachel Cruz's best-selling book, New York Times bestseller, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, to say congratulations.
Cool, thank you.
Jeremy, $72,000 paid off. That's his house and everything. 37 years old. Oh, and he's available. 22 months he did this, making 35 to 49. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1. I'm debt-free!
Yeah! Yeah, baby. This is how it's done. I've threatened to open up our own version of eHarmony for years, and I guess I'm going to have to do it.
I'm telling you. That Dave Math will hunt right there. That'll be good. It's just one story after another, Dave. And I've only been doing this a year. Every one of these. I just think it gives me, I drive home.
People are inspiring.
A little bit lighter.
People are inspiring what they can do when they believe they can. Hope is a powerful drug.
It is.
And he's like, okay, I got knocked off that horse, so I'm going to do Uber Eats. And then I got knocked off that horse, and I'm going to do, and I'm freaking out, but I'm just going to leave home and go work. And this is how you do it right here.
It's exactly every day you got to choose again and choose again and choose again.
Ding, ding, ding.
Little wins. What
no
a
one
stud.
Accidentally wins the Super Bowl.
What a stud, man.
Well done, sir. This is The Ramsey Show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. David's with us in Kansas City. Hi, David. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, I wanted to thank you guys for taking my call tonight to talk to you, Dave and
Sure.
John.
You too.
All right. So I am a registered nurse. I've been working on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. I make about 55 to 80, maybe 85,000 a year, depending on how much I work. I owe 105 or so on my house. I bought it in 2019. It was valued at 165. I'm in school right now, and when I graduate, I'm hoping to make anywhere from between 90 to 140.
What will your degree? What are you just advancing your nursing career?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a nurse practitioner.
Okay, good. Very good. When will you graduate?
In December.
Okay, good.
So this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a wife and a kid. He's 2.5, and I have another one due in April. So she just stopped working as a nanny and is a stay-at-home mom now.
Cool.
The schools in the outskirts of Kansas City, Missouri, where I am right now, are not great, and I'm not too excited about growing up in this area, sending my kid to a school that at one point wasn't even accredited, and are not as good as the schools over on the Kansas side that are top 15 in the country. But the houses in that area that I'd be wanting to buy, my Keeping Up with the Joneses house that I'd eventually like to move into, are like $400,000 or so. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't mind sending him to those schools now when he's young, but I don't want to send him there when he's
2.5. He's not in school.
No, but he will be.
Well, yeah, in 4 years.
5 to 10 years. Yeah.
I mean, in 4 years, you'll have your nurse practitioner. You're going to be making a lot more money. Move.
Yeah. So my question is, should I take the next 3-4 years and pay off this house and then save up cash?
Yes.
To buy the house before I move?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Or just save up enough cash that you can make the move and then pay off that house shortly after that.
Hey, David.
Okay, so if I were,
listen, David. 4 years ago, I was 2 states and 3 jobs from where I am right now. And if you had told me I was going to be working on a radio station next to this guy, I would have laughed at you. Okay. So yeah, carry on, man. And I get when you have this second kid and you start wanting to make plans and make sure everything's going to be mapped out. I can tell you one thing about having kids is you can't map out anything, man. It just comes. You can do your best you can and you got to plan right, but don't.
There's no downside to paying off this house and piling up cash.
Right.
That'll give you options when you're ready to make your move. But you don't have to sit and fret about it today.
You're going to steal joy from right now, worrying about something 4 years from now, brother, and you may be 2 states and 3 jobs from where you are right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Love the fact that you have a new one on the way. Be excited about it. Live in it. Keep paying on your house.
Pile up cash knowing that someday we're going to move.
Yeah.
And that there's just no downside to that. And then you can either pay cash or almost pay cash and then pay that house off later. Either one will work. All of that's going to work out for you just fine. If you don't understand something, don't buy it, and that includes real estate. Right now, a lot of real estate questions coming in, a lot of real estate discussion out there. Everybody around the water cooler is talking about real estate. You can make a 6-figure mistake. Get educated before you buy. Start by checking out our new 13-step home buying checklist. You'll learn about every step in the buying process, from saving a down payment to closing day. Plus, you'll get pro tips on how to make smart money decisions. Text HOME CHECKLIST, no spaces, HOME CHECKLIST to 33789. It's free. HOME CHECKLIST to 33789. Shay's in Houston. Hi, Shay. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hello. Can y'all hear me?
Sure. What's up?
Okay. Hey, Dave. So glad to finally meet you. So my question is, I'm 30 years old. I started your plan in 2017, single mother of 2 kids. By trade, I'm an RN, and so in 2020, I went gazelle intense, took advantage of the COVID thing, quit working full time, started travel nursing. So my income went from $85,000 to almost $300,000 last year. I grew up.
Wow.
I grew up super freaking poor, and it's just me and my boys, left a toxic family environment, yada, yada. So anyways, I have been hoarding money because I was scared that crap, if I pay this off, my credit score is going to go down. So basically, I started out with almost $83,000 worth of debt, and I have $42,000 left, and it's only student loans left to pay. Mm-hmm. Well, when I paid my car off, my credit score went down.
Good.
I kind of skipped, not really skipped, but I've got the 3 to 6 months obviously saved.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
so you're doing your plan
because
you're working your plan.
Well,
you can't modify my plan and call it my plan. It's your plan.
Okay, but
you ever sit in a situation where the doctor tells the patient, do these 3 things, and the patient goes, I'm going to do 2 of them.
And they come back 2 weeks later, and that infection is now the size of a softball. And you're like, what did you do? And you're like, well,
I only did 2 of the 3.
Take that dumb medicine.
Okay, really quick, though. I've got $56,000 in my savings.
Yeah.
So I was like,
really quick, how much debt have you got?
$42,000 left.
So you're debt-free by the time we get off the phone call. What's the problem?
I know, but I'm scared I won't be able to get me and my boys a house.
Why?
So
without you mean without a credit score?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, just make sure all of your accounts are closed and all of them have a 0 balance so that you actually do have a credit score, not just a low credit score. Okay? Because there's only 2 ways you can get a house, a high credit score or no credit score. You can't get it with a low credit score. Okay?
Okay, so
you want to make sure you have nothing open. Everything needs to be closed and 0 balance. No outstanding bad debt so that it does go to 0. Because if you go to a mortgage company like Churchill Mortgage and you say, I have a 0 credit score, they can walk through a process called manual underwriting and get you a house, the same exact price as you would have gotten if you had a 746 credit score. Okay?
Okay.
They can do that. But they can't do it with a 576.
Because that's where I'm at right now, because everything's paid off, but it's just like my credit cards are just, they're just
open.
sitting there, but it's
they're
0.
still open.
Yeah.
Close them.
Yeah.
And 0 balance everything, and 6 months later you'll have 0 score.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Pull up your credit bureau report. Pull up your credit bureau report, and anything that's on there, make sure that account is zeroed and closed by Friday.
Hey, Shay, listen to me. Listen. 2 things. Number 1, at the end of business today, you are free. You got it? I want you to hear that word in your soul.
I'm not going to hoard it.
You're free.
I'm going to do it.
Hey, here's the second thing.
Yeah.
You are not what happened to you as a kid. You are creating a new legacy for those boys. Their story is not going to be your story.
You're a freaking $300,000
You're
earner.
a rock star. You are H-Town's finest. You've done it. You turned the corner on them. Don't get held back by those old stories that are going to continue to try to weasel their way into your heart. They're done.
And listen, if somebody says, you forgot your raisin.
Yep.
Just go, I don't eat raisins.
Well, I'm so glad I freaking met you, and I want to send a shout out to my friend Mitch because he's the one who told me to call.
Well, we're so glad for Nick and so glad for you.
Yes, congratulations.
$300,000 a year.
What a stud!
Woo!
What a stud!
Yeah, woman. Yeah.
That's a single mom.
Get it. I love it. This is the Ramsey Show.
It's Kelly, associate producer and phone screener for The Ramsey Show. If you would like to do your debt-free scream live on the show, make sure you visit daveramsey.com/show and register. We would love for you to come to Nashville and tell your story.
This is The Ramsey Show. You you can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. My co-host today is Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author. He is host of the Dr. John Deloney Show, where he talks about life and boundaries and relationships and all kinds of issues having to do with mental health. So, hey, if you want to join him on that show, you can always do that. It's a very popular podcast and YouTube show, and you can call in at any time you want. Just call at 844-693-3291, or you can email him at askjohn@ramseysolutions.com. askjohn@ramseysolutions.com. So if you can't get in today to talk to him, that's what you would do. The phone number, though, today is 888-825-5225, 888-825-5225. Rob is in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Rob, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Good afternoon, Dave. Dr. D, how are you guys?
Great, man. What's up?
Great. I am calling to see when and if I need to move from just a standard will to like a living irrevocable trust.
When you got 50 million or more.
All right, perfect. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Here's why, okay? These things are sold. It's about a $3,500 to a $5,000 legal bill to build that document. And then you have to shift every single thing you own that you want to transfer at your death, which is every single thing you own, into the name of that trust, and you have to conduct all business in that trust. And so if you buy a car, it's in that trust. If you have an investment account, it's in that trust. If you own a piece of property, it's in that trust. You get ready to sell it, trustee has to sign all the documents. It's a pain in the butt to operate out of the thing. And here's what happens. Lawyers sell these things all the time as a way to avoid probate tax and as a way to ensure that your assets are passed the way that they're supposed to be passed. And then they don't coach you on moving all your freaking assets, which means the trust is sitting there as a shell, unfunded, doesn't have anything in the name of the trust, and so it's of absolutely zero value at that point. And 78% of the trusts never get funded. People don't move their assets into the name of the trust, so the whole thing's dumber than crap. Now, when you get big money like I'm talking about, like this particular building I'm sitting in is in one of those trusts, okay? Now, what that does then, because this building that I'm sitting in is worth about $140 million, okay? So that building, as it goes up in value, I don't want that value in my estate. I want that value to pass to the kids with no estate taxes. And so placing this puppy and operating it out of a revocable trust makes sense. Doing that for something that's $1 million will drive you freaking nuts.
Right.
You follow me?
So life insurance, yes. Life insurance, beneficiaries, and all that stuff, and 401k stuff. With
life insurance beneficiaries are not taxable as an estate item anyway. They're not part of your estate technically.
Right. No, I'm just saying if that moves, that'll move relatively quickly after my passing.
Easy.
Someone's named beneficiary.
Yeah, they'll get that money, and most of the time within a few weeks. They'll get your and the access, if you've named a beneficiary on your 401ks and your IRAs and that kind of stuff, that's going to be very easy to access by the heirs as well. And so, yeah, and if you've got a decent will that's done, your family ought to have access through the executor to the cash that's in your checking account within a matter of days.
Right. So the probate action will move relatively quickly as well.
Assuming you have a freaking will that's done right and the judge doesn't have to blink at it. But you just go in, your lawyer dance before the judge and do 2 twirls and walk out of there with the executor's in charge of everything. It doesn't drag out for months. Now, the reason a lot of people do this, some states have a big state probate tax where they tax your estate upon your death. Like say you had $5 million, okay? And if there's a 3.5% tax on that, then that's going to be a $150,000 tax.
What?
Okay, on your estate. And that's a state tax.
I didn't know that existed.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't in Tennessee.
It didn't work.
No, but a lot of states, like Florida's got a big one. So, which a bunch of old people there, so that makes sense. But but that's what they're after. So the federal estate tax doesn't come into play much because it's large. The exemptions are large enough. But that's why people move stuff into this, because you can avoid that estate tax, that probate tax, and you have instantaneous access to stuff. But the problem is the day-to-day operations while you're living are a complete pain in the butt, and people forget to move everything into the name of the trust and then operate the name of the trust. And so, like, we're adding some property to this campus, and I've got to make sure all that stays in that same trust, and the money used to buy it has to come out of this trust.
Right.
And so it's just a freaking barrel of fish hooks just to keep the government's hands off of stuff you've already paid taxes on.
Well, you just blew my mind by telling me that some states charge you to die.
Oh, well, the federal government will, too.
Dave,
yeah, like big. Okay, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the federal estate tax exemption right now.
Can you just die? Right?
Yeah, this is when you get pissed off about taxes, and this is when you get pissed off about people saying, when you work your whole life and you started with nothing, and you work your whole life and you got some money, and then people go, well, the rich need to be taxed, and so when they die, they should be taxed again on money they've already paid taxes on. So the federal estate tax exemption. Right now, I'm trying to look at my cheat sheet here because it moves all the time. Last year was $11 million and some change. Okay, so anything over that's taxed at about 40% by the feds. So if you got a $21 million
taxed it when you made
got a $21 million net worth and you die, you have a $4 million tax bill. Even if it's all in real estate. So if it's a family ranch, you got to sell off part of the ranch
to pay the tax,
to pay the feds.
But what about?
Because you're an evil rich person.
You already bought that, so you already made that money, so they already taxed you at 40% the first time.
Yeah, so
they get
a different
80% tax off your money?
This is the death tax. Yeah, and that's what he's trying to avoid. That's the problem here. So it's a.
I did not know. You just blew my mind. It's a rare moment when I'm speechless, and I am now. Wow.
Well, it just doesn't come up because the rich are easy target, right? You should always make fun of and steal from the rich. It's a Robin Hood thing and very democratic thing to do. So.
Wow. I didn't know you got taxed when you died.
Yeah. You get no. Most people don't, because most people don't have $11 million.
Yeah.
So there's no federal tax on anything under $11 million. So you're okay if that's the case. And if you're in a state where there's no probate tax, you don't. And if you don't have any money, you don't get taxed on it either. Right. So, but if you work your whole life starting from nothing, your grandpa started a business and he tries to hand it to your dad, and then your dad tries to hand it to you, and every time it's gone up in value, every time somebody dies, it gets hit again, unless you use one of these trust mechanisms. And even then, there's some of it's going to be exposed.
I think after today, I'm going to call into my own show to process this. I don't even know what to say.
John's grieving on the air. He's grieving the American dream.
Wow.
Just found out how close socialism is to your back door.
It's expensive. Wow.
The problem is you run out of other people's money. This is the Ramsey Show. Hey folks, I got a great option to help you pay for your education. The Army National Guard. The Army National Guard believes you are the next greatest generation because you have proven that even in adversity, that you have what it takes to succeed. That's why they offer benefits like tuition assistance, career training, and a paycheck to help you avoid debt. No matter what your goals are, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Have you ever made a dumb decision with zeros on the end because you didn't do your research? Yeah, me too. Most people make choices based on feelings or opinions, especially when they're buying a house. But when it comes to the real estate market, feelings aren't your friends. Check your facts. Find out what you can actually afford. Research what's trending in home prices. Talk to a reputable real estate agent in your area, like one of our endorsed local providers. Never buy a house without the facts again. If you will text the word house to 33789, you'll get an agent to help you make smart decisions. Text house to 33789. Alex was with us in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Okay, I'm calling today because I have a question about buying a car. I want to know if I'm in the right position to buy a car, and if so, how much I should spend.
Okay.
So I'm a fourth-year university student. I make $40K a year right now, but I project that to go to $60 or $70K once I graduate this summer. I do have student loans. I have about $31,000 in student loans, but I actually have the loan in full in an investment account because here in Canada we get a small grant portion with the loan. So I just spend the grant portion and I put the loan aside so I can pay it back in full after.
Like this summer?
And I do. Pardon?
Like this summer when you graduate?
Yeah. Well, once you graduate, you have a 6-month grace period, so I'll keep it in the investment until it's like I have to start repaying it.
Nah, just pay it off.
Yeah, I would pay that sucker off. Yeah.
Just be done with it. Side issue.
Yeah,
okay, so what's the question about the car?
So my parents are gifting me some money. They had a $175,000 settlement come to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm wanting to buy a vehicle. I have 2 vehicles right now. I have one vehicle that's worth about $3,000 and one that's worth about $7,000. And I'm hoping to put that money together, add a little bit from my parents' investment on top of it, and buy a vehicle. The parents are going to give me $15,000, but they said if I buy a vehicle, they'll top it up to $20,000 to help me out. So it kind of gives me some incentive. Mm-hmm. I guess my question is that the vehicle that I'm driving right now is very reliable and there's nothing wrong with it, but I just want a vehicle that does all-wheel drive. But I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way, especially because I want to be able to pay for my master's degree in about a year from now, and I have a long-term goal of buying a house. So okay. I just want to know how to go about it the right way, given I have all these moving pieces.
Good. Very, very well thought out. Good for you. Okay. In general, if you're 100% debt-free and you pay cash for the car, no more than half your annual income. And you're not going to be approaching that. And the half your annual income this summer is going to be $70,000, so that'd be $35,000, and you're not talking about spending that much on a car, I can tell. So you're talking about buying like a $15,000 car, aren't you?
That's what I was thinking. I almost did buy a $24,000 car, but I had your voice in the back of my head saying that might not be smart.
Yeah.
And that
well, the only thing I'm worried about is I want you to have enough cash left over after this car purchase to finish your master's, because that's more important than the car.
Yeah.
So what's it cost to do the master's?
Probably about $20,000, I think.
Okay, so let me catch up then. So you have 10 worth of vehicles. Your parents are going to give you 20. That's 30. If you spend 15, you're going to have 15 left, and you need 20.
Yeah.
And where are you going to get the other 5 to get your master's?
Well, I'll be working, and my expenses are about $2,000 a month, so I'll be able to save, I think.
So you're going to pay cash for your master's for whatever amount you don't have left in savings. If you can pull that off and buy a $15,000 car, I'm good with it.
Okay. And then what
But that
about,
means you don't buy a $20,000 car.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking.
Because you're not going to, because that's going to leave you $10,000 in the hole on your master, and that's going to be tough to pull off with work money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so don't do that.
I want to up my expenses a little and not live so frugally.
Yeah. Well, $15,000 is a very reasonable car. You can get a great car for that. And your master's is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 10, and a car is a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very important, not important.
I would be tempted to keep my car and get through my master's degree.
Yeah.
And especially if you say you got a reliable car. It may not look pretty and all that, but...
Well, Mom and Dad are going to give her an extra 5 she can make the 15 with that extra 5, and it's no net loss.
That's true.
So if they're doing that to get the car, then yeah, I would do it. But I'm not going 16. I'm not going 17. I'm not going 20. I think 15 is your cap. And that's selling both the other cars. You don't get to keep any pets around.
Right.
They've all got to go. So you put 5 for mom and dad. That's the extra 5 they gave you, and the 10 from your cars into a car. That's reasonable. But here's the thing. If you go screwing around with it more than that, you're going to leave yourself vulnerable, and you're going to have an excuse in your mind to get a loan for that Masters, and I'm not going to go with that. Neither's John.
Especially on a depreciating asset like a vehicle.
Yeah, it's the wrong direction. Wrong stuff to put money into. Logan is in Chicago. Hey, Logan. What's up?
Hi, Dave. Hi, Dr. D. How are you guys doing today?
Great, man. What's up?
So, long story short, I graduated in the class of 2020. I decided not to go to college due to COVID. I was going to go to music school, and, well, live music isn't exactly around right now. I got a job making about $70,000 to $80,000 a year. I paid off all of my debt. I've got a lovely girlfriend I plan to marry, and I'm really kind of struggling with where I go financially from here.
What did you stumble into, an $80,000 job?
I sell cars at a local dealership.
Wow, well done, man.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're 19, you make 80 grand, you don't have any debt, and your question's what to do now?
Basically, where do I go from here? Now I've got very few responsibilities. I still live at home. I pay rent to live at home, but that's a very small portion. I've got a decent amount of income coming in. Am I saving that money for a house? Do I start working towards like an engagement ring? These are the kind of questions I'm asking myself.
I think all of the above. I think goal 1 is build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses if you weren't living at home.
Okay.
If you had an apartment and you needed 3 to 6 months of expenses, utilities, rent, food, all that kind of stuff. You need to talk about moving out probably in the next 6 months or so, and get your own place. And then your emergency fund is your first goal. Probably the ring is your second goal, and then begin saving for whatever, buying a house or whatever beyond that.
So with I guess in my situation, it seems to make more financial sense that I have a good situation here at home to bank the money rather than go out and spend the extra $600 plus a month it would be for an apartment.
Well, for a little while, but there's a point you become a man and you move out of your mommy's basement. And so the sooner you do that, the more likely that's going to become. And so if you were marrying my daughter, I would want you to have lived on your own and paid your own freaking bills for a little while. I don't want you moving from your mommy's basement to be my daughter's husband.
I can totally understand that.
Okay. And that's a matter of development.
I 100% agree with that. And I would, it's hard when you want to invest and get this ROI on my money. That 3 to 6 months, man, is just to protect you.
Yeah.
And it's not there to grow. It's not there to be shiny. It's just there to be your own personal bank for yourself.
Yeah. The money you're going to spend living on your own is an investment in your own
growth,
maturity, and growing up. And
it's a good investment.
It's a good investment.
And it's an investment in preserving your relationship with your parents.
It's not giving your dad the middle finger. I mean, it's just thank you for the launch pad. And thank you for not allowing me to have failure to launch. And so, you go do that. And then you have your emergency fund in place before you do that. And so I'm not saying you've got to move out tomorrow. I said 6 months. In 6 months, you ought to be making 80 grand. You ought to pile up, 30?
A lot of money.
You ought to have some money, man. I mean, so where are you spending it on? A ring and an emergency fund. And move out. And there you go. That's what I would do. You do whatever you want, brother. But I appreciate you listening. This is The Ramsey Show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Damaris is with us. Damaris is in New York City. Hi, Damaris. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure. How can we help?
My husband and I currently have about $113,000 in debt, which does not include our home.
Mm-hmm.
We have approximately $10,000 in savings for emergencies in case anything happens with the home. We have our son, and we're about to start foster caring. And we've been living simple. We've paid off $27,000 in credit cards, so those are gone.
Good.
And we're just trying to decide, do we use the $10,000 to help pay towards the debt and bring us down to the $1,000 emergency fund? Being that, we have a home and we have our someone as to a foster child, we're just not really sure if we should save that money or use that towards.
So what is the $113,000 in debt?
We have about $19,000 or so in a car loan, and then $94,000 in student loan between my husband and I.
And what's your household income?
Currently, my husband makes $68,000. I am making, unfortunately, $12,000 a year. I used to make a lot more, but when COVID hit, I lost my job, and only job I can get is working 2 days a week. I used to make $52,000.
Okay. When do you think you'll be back?
I'm looking for a book. Well, I'm a bookkeeper, so I've been looking for work on a bookkeeping job, but most jobs now want a degree, and I didn't get to finish school. I don't have my degree yet.
In New York City, a non-degreed bookkeeper can make $52,000 with experience.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually in North Jersey.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still that same market. That's doable.
Yeah.
It's not instantaneous, but I mean, your life did not end because you didn't have the only job in New Jersey that someone paid $52,000 for bookkeeping. That's just for a non-degreed bookkeeper. That's not true. They're there. So that's good news. The good news is you're going to be back if you want to be. Are you going to go back?
Oh, I've been looking since October in conjunction with this job. I was working actually 3 jobs at one time just because I want to take care of family. But now I'm making. Now those 2 others fell off. They ended. The contract ended.
Yeah.
And so I'm still looking.
All right.
I even started doing DoorDash just to get money coming in while I'm looking.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I want you to go to KenColeman.com. Ken is one of our Ramsey personalities that does a show on Sirius and on 75 radio stations across America. He's not in your market, but he's one of our team members here, and he teaches people how to land jobs and how to focus on their career. There's tons of free resources there on landing a job and doing a more effective, efficient job search than the traditional job search. Okay, he's going to help you a bunch with that. I'm going to give you a copy of his book free. It's called The Proximity Principle, but it's KenColeman.com. Now, when you land that job, it's going to lower your fear substantially. You're kind of in a medium-sized storm. And I'm not sure you should be on the baby steps right now. You should push pause, and you guys just pile up as much cash as you can pile up, and then you land that job, and then you clean out that account and go down to $1,000 and start baby step 1, baby step 2 immediately, tearing into this debt.
Again. Okay.
But if you want to pile up cash, I'm sorry?
We were doing really well, and then this happened. So, you understand. That's how we paid off the $27K before. So
you lost almost half your household income.
Yes. Yeah.
Is now a great time to be fostering? Sounds like there's a lot of stress and a lot of heat in that home, and man, fostering it's such an honorable thing to do, and it is hard.
It is hard. We prayed about it, and we were put on hold because of COVID, and then just literally 3 or 4 weeks ago, they called us saying, "Hey, are you so interested?" And in our hearts, we've always wanted to, and we just felt like if they're calling us, it's God's timing, and we're really happy. I mean, God knows we have food on the plate. We're very blessed. We're happy with what we have, and we're just trying to, be thankful, and if we can help another child in this situation, that's kind of where our heart is at.
Yeah, I get that, and
I hear you.
Yeah, and that was what. Yeah, I want to always go back, and this is an overdone analogy, but you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you put your oxygen mask on your kids. And you guys got to be healthy. Your marriage has to be good. You got to knock this debt out. You've got to figure out what you want to do with employment or staying home. Sounds like a lot of moving pieces. And to bring a kid into that intentionally, man, it's a wonderful thing to do. But man, it's gonna just add another layer, a big layer of weight into that home.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, okay. So push pause and pile up cash on the money piece. Go to KingColeman.com. Hold on, Kelly. I'll give you a copy of Proximity Principle. I want you to land that job super fast. And then I want you to push play, which means you are going down to $1,000, and you're going to put everything on the debt, and you're going to list your debt smallest to largest, and you're going to pay off $113,000 in 36 months, and you're going to be 100% debt-free 3 years from today. But that's how your process is going to go down. But you don't want to half do it and say, I'm going to keep the 10, and then I'm going to keep paying on the debt. No, let's either say it's a storm, and we're on pause, and we're piling up cash, or we're down to $1,000, and we're game on. Mm-hmm. Whichever it is. I think you're in the middle of a storm and you hadn't really calculated that because you lost half your annual income. That's what it sounds like. Emma's with us in Austin, Texas. Hey, Emma. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Oh, good. I am in a major, I guess you could, I want to say like catastrophe or just kind of some kind of explosion right now. And I really need your help with making a decision. For our family. My husband took a job about 5.5 hours away. I don't work, but I'm just not sure. We're really close. I've been putting everything towards our debt, and we've already paid about.
Why are you not moved with him?
No, he just took it. It just happened.
When?
It's not 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So you own a home?
We own 2 homes.
Are they up for sale?
No.
Why?
One has a renter in it, and the other one I'm honestly in the middle of doing foundation work, repair.
Okay.
I literally have a leak underneath my slab right now.
Yeah, so you're going to stay at home for a little while you're going to stay away from him for a little while until that gets fixed, and then you're going to get on the market.
Well, I don't know because I don't know what's going on. Our marriage has been shaken a little bit. And so I'm very nervous because it feels like all aspects of my life are not solid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can hear
I
your
found
voice.
out that, yeah, I'm really not in a good mental place, and so I need clarity. The reason why our marriage is not in a good place is because I found that he was taking money secretly out of our 401k or his 401k. And so I don't have 100% confidence, or...
When did you find this out?
About 2 months ago.
What was he doing with the money?
Honestly, it was between just things that he wanted and guns, because he wanted to have a gun collection, toys. And
how old is he?
In 40s.
So is his job that he took 5 hours away, is that a move? Was that a power play?
Yeah. It could be. It definitely, I've been asking, we've been, pinching pennies for a while now. And so this is more money closer to his family, not necessarily my family.
Did y'all make this decision together?
I would say 80% him and 20% me. I said, I'm supporting you. I support you, but I also still...
You don't need to do anything until you guys get in the marriage counselor's office.
ASAP.
Yeah. There's no, you don't need to make any financial moves because you got to decide, both of you have to decide what's going to happen here going forward. And so while you're fixing the foundation on the house, let's fix the foundation on the marriage.
It's way harder and way more important.
Yeah. This is the Ramsey Show. scripture of the day, Proverbs 18:15. The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, for the ears of the wise seek it out. Brian Herbert said, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. That's a strong quote. I like that one. Maria is with us. Maria's in California. Hi, Maria. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for taking my call.
My honor. What's up?
Hi. So I am 20 years old. I have about $30,000 in savings. And I just wanted to get your opinion on what I should do with that money, whether that is putting it in a Roth IRA or saving it for a down payment in the future for a house.
Okay. What are you working? You in college? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm in college. I'm in my third year. I'll be graduating next May.
Good.
And I'm working part-time.
What are you studying? With a degree in what?
In earth science.
Cool.
And hopefully I'm able to change that to a degree in geology.
Very cool.
Okay. So what are you going to do for a living when you get your degree?
Well, I'm thinking about going into hydrogeology, doing work in that, which is why I want to target the geology degree. Right now I'm doing an internship with the water district here in Orange County. So I'm getting the experience that I'll need in the future with this internship. So yeah, that's kind of what my goal is right now.
Okay, so when you finish all of this and you get the dream job, what does it pay? I don't know what a hydrogeologist gets paid. You have to tell me.
Yeah, they get paid. I think starting it's about $80K a year.
Yeah.
And then it goes up to 120.
And how long is it going to be before you complete this field of study?
Well, if I go the earth science way, I think I'm maxed out at like 90, which is why I want to do an extra year. So if I do the extra year and go into geology, I would be graduating May of 2023. Mm-hmm. And then I would have kind of a bigger pay range in the future, mm-hmm. Which would, I think from what I've seen, it's about 120 to 180 mm-hmm. with the hydrogeology.
Mm-hmm. And that will take you. That'll take you an extra year.
Yes.
Kind of like doing grad work in a sense, but it's not really. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay. So the $20,000, the best investment that Maria can make mathematically is in this investment called Maria. Completing that field of study, completing that degree with what you just told me you're going to make as a result is worth the investment of the dollars a lot more than a mutual fund or Roth IRA will ever pay you. So I want every dollar you've got committed to you graduating and you graduating debt-free as soon as possible and pursuing that line of income that you're telling me you can make.
Yes.
Every dollar. Maria is the best investment Maria has possible because you've chosen a field of study that's not left-handed puppetry. You actually can do something with it, and you figured out what that is, and you know you didn't hesitate when I asked you what the career field looked like and what you would be paid. You already know. This is not a pipe dream. You've got this studied. You've thought this through.
You're working in it right now.
You planned it. You're working the intern. You're doing everything right, kiddo.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot to mention for my expenses for school, I get financial aid, so everything everything's covered, which is why I didn't know if I should put that money.
I don't care if you've got if you save up $100,000 and you don't even need it, go ahead and save it up, and make sure that you graduate. The day you graduate, you get this job. We'll start investing, and you can use that $100,000 to buy your first house.
Okay.
But right now,
I will do that.
Right now, that money is laying there to make sure Maria graduates, and Maria graduates debt-free. John's got a PhD in higher education, Maria. So, I mean, you don't see this kind of thing very often.
No, this is a laser focus. But when Dave says all your expenses are taken care of, here's what that means. Like most college students will say, tuition, room and board. Dave also means your engine's going to fall out of your car. he means someone's gonna throw a rock through your back windshield, or you're gonna need some more whatever the thing is. So get to the finish line owing nobody anything. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it does. It does make sense.
That's job 1. Job 2 is get to the finish line with $50,000 in the bank.
Okay.
And some great connections
and no investments made yet. No. But you're 23 years old at that point, making 6 figures, and you're going to be very wealthy because you are a laser-focused chick. I mean, you're amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. Very well done. If we could train America to do that,
my
we'd be okay.
19-year-old self was like, I don't know, man. Let's think about it, bro. And
the number of people getting a degree in beer pong is scary. All right, Helen is with us in Fayetteville. Hey, Helen, what's up?
Hi, Dave. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
So my husband and I are on baby steps 4, 5, and 6, and we would really like to get our house paid off in the next 18 to 24 months.
Cool.
But I'm wondering, does it make sense for us to back off our retirement investing a little bit to free up some money to throw at the mortgage, and just to give you a fuller picture of where we are?
What's the balance on your mortgage?
$250,000.
So how much are you going to back off, and how quick? What's it going to change the numbers?
Well, so we currently have about $425,000 in retirement. He is 50. I'm 49.
That wasn't what I asked. I asked how much you're going to back off and how fast it's going to pay off the mortgage, because it's probably not going to do what you think it's going to do.
Well, so we're currently only setting aside about 10%. We're maxing out the Roth 401k and Roth, I'm self-employed, Roth IRA. Mm-hmm. And then we've got some cash set aside beyond our 6-month emergency fund. And we're in that position of, all right, can we start throwing this at the mortgage, or do we need to do investment outside?
I'm sorry, one more time. What'd you tell me your household income is?
About $400,000.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Okay. All right. So if you make $400,000 and you don't want to put in 15%, you only want to put in 10%, how much cash have you got set aside?
Let's see. Above our 6 months, about $50,000.
Okay. So, see, 5% is $80,000. Yeah. So if you do that, that's going to pay. It's $80,000 a year. Did I do that right? I did do that right. Yeah, that's $80,000 a year. It's 5%. So if you do that, if you keep only putting 10% in, and you take that $50,000 and throw it at the $200 mortgage, you should be debt free in 18 months, like you said, right?
Right.
And then the rest of your life, you just invest like crazy people.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that 15% is really where you like.
Well, it's a lock, but you understand you're in the top 0.5% of income earners. So you also don't need to spend 10% of your budget on food, because you get really large.
True.
Because things start to change with this kind of scale. So
right.
The great news about this is you guys are actually thinking about it. You're questioning whether you should break a rule in the system, the Dave system, all that. And so you're really, and obviously you're not dumb. Dumb people don't make $400,000. Mm-hmm. So not any I know of. Well, maybe one exception.
I know a couple of them.
But I just went there in my head. But anyway, I'm just not going to say it. So no, you're fine. You're fine. You're going to do great. You're being intentional. You're being thoughtful. You're being wise. You're going to pay off your house in 18 months, and you're not going to skip a beat. You're going to have millions of dollars in your accounts, and you're going to be great. So proud of you. Very well done. Very well done. John, good show.
Thanks, man.
Good job, James and Kelly in the booth. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
This is James Childs, producer of The Ramsey Show. Did you know The Ramsey Show is one of the most popular podcasts in the world? Subscribe or follow today wherever you listen to podcasts.